The first of this week's 8 cabinet confirmation hearings starts in about a half an hour or so from now. But one of the most watched hearings will be tomorrow with Congressman Tom Price, President-elect Trump's choice for Health and Human Services Secretary. Kentucky Republican Senator Rand Paul sits on the Senate Health, Education, Labor, and Pensions Committee, which will handle that hearing for Congressman Price. Senator, thanks very much for joining us.
Absolutely.
So are you concerned about these questions that have been raised about the ethics qualifications for Congressman Price, that presumably not everything has been presented to the Ethics Committee yet?
You know, I'm pretty excited about Congressman Price's nomination. He's been one of the innovative thinkers, one of the people putting out, great ideas for trying to let individuals pool together to buy insurance at cheaper prices. So I think he has a lot of great ideas, and he'll be great at HHS. But I think he's going to be more than just the Secretary of HHS. He's going to be also involved with bringing forward some of the innovative market solutions to try to help people get insurance at a cheaper cost.
As you know, CNN has been reporting that Congressman Price bought stock in a medical device manufacturer just days before pushing legislation that likely would have benefited that company. Will you be asking him about that tomorrow?
See, I guess the question I would ask is, when did he become in favor of not having taxes on medical devices? My guess is probably has a 20-year record of being opposed to that. So, I think that every Republican up here was against the medical devices tax. So I think it's probably an overstatement to say somehow his buying and selling had to do with a position that probably he's had his whole entire public career.
Senator Schumer, the Democratic leader in the Senate, thinks he could have some trouble getting confirmed. Do you agree with him?
No, I think the Democrats have assured that all of the nominees will win, because the Democrats have said that we don't need 60 votes anymore. And so I think I haven't seen any rebellion on the Republican side. And so I think Republicans are going to vote to let President Trump have his picks. This is the way it historically had been done anyway. For the most part, right after George W. Bush was in, he got most of his nominees. President Obama got most of his nominees. So I don't know. I think there's still some sour grapes over the election, but we're going to work through this nomination process, whatever it takes. But I don't see any of the nominees probably being defeated.
The president-elect in that interview with the Washington Post says he wants health insurance for everyone. Some senior Republicans working on a replacement legislation, they say they don't know exactly what he means by that. Do you know what he means? Is his plan, his replacement plan, going to be covering everyone in America with affordable health care insurance?
I think that's the goal of everybody's plan. It's the goal of my replacement plan, is to have the most amount of insurance at the least amount of cost. Now, what does that actually mean? Well, it's hard to say anything is 100%. Even a governmental system is not necessarily 100%. What I would say is, I agree with Donald Trump. The goal should be to insure everybody. We should have the goal of being 100% access. It's not really that we have a difference of opinion on that. Democrats want the same thing. So I think we all have the same motives. It's really the debate is about how you practically get to that goal.
So if if people can't afford any health insurance, the government will give them the health insurance. Is that what you want?
Well, we already have that. Basically, if you can't afford medical care in our country, we have Medicaid. So we already have a government system that supports those who don't have an income. What we're trying to figure out is, for those who do have an income, for those who do work, how do we find out, how do we get insurance at a reasonable cost? The failure of Obamacare is it made the cost higher. So if you're a working individual and you're working class and you're struggling to get ahead, Obamacare made your insurance too expensive to be able to afford. They said they would subsidize it, but where does the money come from? So it is a complicated question how we get everybody insurance. Part of it is you need a thriving economy. So the more people working, the less people have to be on government assistance, and the less people have to have government-assisted insurance. So you need a thriving economy. But you also need a marketplace where insurance marketplace allows inexpensive insurance. You need to let individuals band together so they can buy it as a group, and then you need to help them through health savings accounts so they can save for their family's insurance.
The Russian President Vladimir Putin today weighed in on the transition of power here in the United States, saying he thought the Obama administration was actually trying to undermine the incoming president. Putin also said allegations that Russia monitored Trump during a trip to Russia a few years ago, in his words, was rubbish. The allegations were rubbish. What do you think of the Russian president speaking out about this?
I don't have any control over the Russian president, but I think it's unseemly that people in our intelligence community, the CIA director is out there giving press conferences, criticizing the incoming president. I think that's inexcusable, and I would not have anybody in the CIA that is publicly criticizing the president. It's not their job, it's not their role, and it's frankly unseemly, and it takes away from the credibility. Look, the intelligence community has a great loss of credibility in the last couple of years. James Clapper came to the Senate and lied under oath. Now we have the head of the CIA publicly criticizing the incoming president. I think that's not the role of the CIA. The CIA should be in the background trying to protect our country and not out there trying to score political points. I think it's a terrible and tragic day, and it hurts all of our intelligence gathering and their credibility to have the head of the CIA out there doing this.
But, Senator, when Donald Trump twice compares elements in the U.S. intelligence community at the CIA as behaving as if they were in Nazi Germany, doesn't the CIA director have the right to defend the men and women of the U.S. intelligence community?
I think it's very important that private information that's discussed in private intelligence briefings be private. Classified information should not be leaked to the press. I don't know who did this, but I can tell you in all likelihood it wasn't a Republican, it wasn't Donald Trump, it wasn't his people. So you have a couple of choices. This was either leaked to networks and to other organizations by intelligence officials or by Democrats that are part of the elite eight that get these briefings. There's only a few people who could have leaked this information. The reason why it is important is that you don't want public officials who are being blackmailed to be afraid to go to the FBI and say, here's this information. If a public official takes private information that you're being blackmailed with to the FBI and then it leaks into the public domain, that is inexcusable, and really somebody should go to jail, and we have not talked about this enough. A leak like that is so significant that if it came from the Intelligence Committee, they should go to jail. If it came from the Obama administration, they should go to jail. You cannot allow the leaking of classified documents, particularly when it goes to someone's character. So I think this is a tragedy, and I think Donald Trump is right to be mad.
But you agree with Donald Trump that the CIA is like Nazi Germany?
I don't know who leaked this. I'm telling you what my position is, that it's inexcusable and someone should be prosecuted for the leaks.
But you disagree with them with it making a comparison to Nazi Germany?
You know, I can only do I can only vouch for what I'm for and for my statements. I would spend too much time if I had to defend everybody else's statements. But I would say my position is that it's inexcusable and someone should be prosecuted. And it's not just about this instance. It's about how we move forward as a country. Are we going to make it so public officials are not going to report blackmail because they're afraid that either the FBI or the CIA is going to leak this to the press? I don't know if they did it, but it was either them or President Obama's administration or lead Democrats in Congress. It's a very narrow window. There's about 10 people that were aware of this briefing, and it became public. Now, I'm not blaming the news for reporting it. What I'm blaming is the government officials who leaked this broke the law, and they ought to be prosecuted.
Before I let you go, Senator, I want to get your quick reaction to more than, 3 dozen Democratic members of the House boycotting Friday's inauguration. We're showing some pictures of some of them, not all of them, but go ahead, give me your reaction.
Well, you know, before the election, there was a lot of talk. Everybody was saying Trump is not going to, consider the election legitimate if he loses. And then it turns out it's completely the opposite. Hillary Clinton lost, and her supporters are trying to say it's not legitimate. I think that that is not a good idea because it's not good. Even President Obama, I think, realizes this, that when an election happens, we should have a smooth transition. Even if our candidate didn't win, we should acknowledge that the elections are legitimate. We probably have more legitimate elections in our country than any other country on the planet. So I think to delegitimize our elections is a mistake.
Senator Rand Paul, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.